if you spend the entire day with your PDA or high needs child or children, you might notice that it's not just the behaviors and the triggering that exhausts you. It's how much of yourself that you have to hold together internally to keep everything going. Okay, by the end of the day, you may feel wiped out, resentful, or completely empty without fully understanding why. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong, but it's because your system has been working hard in ways that are mostly invisible. So, in this episode, I want to slow that experience down and help you understand what's actually happening inside you when you're with your child all day, and how small, realistic ways of supporting yourself can completely change you from feeling totally depleted to feeling more fulfilled. So, let's begin. So, if you're exhausted after spending the whole day with your child, you're not doing anything wrong and you're not alone because so many parents feel this way. This is especially true if you're parenting a PDA or high needs child, a child who needs a lot of autonomy, a lot of control, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of nervous system support, right? Where you're co regulating them. So our PDA kids often require a level of attunement and co-regulation that is pretty intense, and they need it to be sustained, right? And it's deeply personal because it has to be totally geared around their individual needs and what they need. Okay, so and right now it's the holiday time, right? As you're listening to this, it may be the holiday time. So this is especially noticeable during the holidays when routines change and school is out. And for many parents, this is your daily reality if your child doesn't attend school at all. Okay, I was there as well. My child still doesn't go to school. And we have a caregiver now, but there were times where I was with him all day, every day. Okay, so feeling drained, overwhelmed, or wiped out by the end of the day is not a sign that you're failing. Okay, it's a nervous system response to sustained demand, responsibility, and stress on your system. Okay, so let's name why this feels so hard to be with our kids all day, why it feels so exhausted, and then let's talk about how to support your nervous system in ways that actually help, so that you're not so depleted by the end of the day. Okay, so first of all, why does being with your child or children all day feel so exhausting? Okay, this is such a common experience. Okay, and we're going to talk about, I think it's 7 different ways or 6 different ways why this feels so 6 different ways of why this can feel so exhausting, okay? So number 1 is that you activate when your child activates, okay? So as parents, we are biologically wired to attune to our children, okay? So what does that mean? That means that when they become anxious or dysregulated or more controlling or overwhelmed, then your nervous system will feel that within you and it will react too. Okay. So I want you all to really get this. Okay. This is not a lack of resilience, and it's not a lack of that you have no self control, that you have this reaction happening inside. This is how we're designed. We're designed to feel our kids. And in general, as humans, we're designed to feel other people's nervous systems. Okay. So this is a totally human experience. So we are meant to feel our children. We're meant to mirror their internal state so that they know that we get how they feel. Okay. But then we are meant to blend our regulated energy. Okay. We bring safety to this reaction inside of us, blend our regulated energy with it. And then that helps guide their nervous system back towards regulation. Okay. But what's the bigger and unique challenge for all of us parents who parents like a parent, a PDA or high needs child, is that over the course of a full day, this cycle of your child activating and your body mounting a stress response, it happens again and again, much more than the norm, right? Of other parents and families who don't parent a PDA or high needs child. So that's the other thing I really want you to understand. You're going to activate way more than the norm. Okay. And each time your child activates, your nervous system activates and responds or reacts inside. But because you still need to function and support your child and keep things moving, you often hold your reactions inside rather than letting them fully complete, right? So we have a fight or flight response, and you see that with our kids. They act it out, but we can't act it out. So it doesn't fully complete what's called the stress cycle. Okay. Instead, it gets trapped, all that energy gets trapped inside. So, with little opportunity to recover between these moments, the stress load begins to accumulate in the body. Okay. And much of this activation gets held in rather than released. And by the end of the day, this could tell your nervous system that you're either still in threat mode, or you're burning too much energy to hold all of this activation in, and then your nervous system goes into this bone deep exhaustion, irritability, emotional numbness, or the sense that you have nothing left to give, right? And then the other side of that coin is that you can't hold it in anymore and you erupt all over them. Okay. So that's number one of why it can be so hard to be with your child all day, because of how much we also activate inside but hold it in. So number two is you're constantly co-regulating, right? Co-regulation takes energy, and it takes a lot of your nervous system to help your child's nervous system. So look, like in theory, when we co-regulate, there is meant to be some sense of return on the energy we give, right? So our nervous system offers this steadiness and presence and ideally regulation and accommodation, right? And over time, we usually receive feedback that our presence or our accommodating our child is helping. And that feedback, right? Seeing or feeling another's nervous system settle can support our own system and help replenish the energy that we're using. Okay, but for many parents of PDA kids, especially PDA kids, this reciprocity can often be delayed, inconsistent, or even absent, right? You're not getting the feedback cues. And then you work even harder, right? So instead, parents find themselves over efforting to keep their child regulated, tracking their child's cues, right? Staying calm at all costs, adjusting your tone, anticipating triggers, offering reassurance, preventing escalations. Okay, this is all nervous system labor. And even when nothing dramatic is happening, your system may be working very hard in the background to maintain stability. Okay, and this level of sustained attunement is taxing, especially without breaks. Okay, the nervous system is designed to socially engage and then step out of engagement to recover. We're designed to take breaks from social engagement too. Okay. It is also designed to regulate more easily when we receive feedback that our regulation is landing. And when that feedback isn't always there, as is often the case with our PDA kiddos, parents end up working much harder to keep things steady while not receiving the small hits of oxytocin and dopamine that normally, so those are all the rewarding brain chemicals, right? That normally signal connection, nourishment, and relief and motivation to keep going. Okay, so over time, this can leave parents feeling depleted and exhausted, not because you're doing co-regulation wrong, but because their nervous system is giving far more, your nervous system is giving far more than it has the opportunity to recover from. Okay. Okay. So when you're with your child all day, especially during the holidays, so let's go to number three. Okay. Number three is about feeling choicelessness or not feeling choice, okay, and feeling trapped, okay? So when you're with your child all day, especially during the holidays or when school isn't an option for them and they're not going to school anymore, your nervous system can begin to feel trapped. Okay, so there may be no clear breaks, okay, no handoff, no place to step away. Even when you love your child deeply, your body can still experience this as choicelessness. Okay. And what happens when you don't feel choice? the nervous system sees that as a cue of danger because the nervous system needs choice to feel safe. Okay. So when choice goes offline, the body often shifts into a protective state. And so you may notice yourself bracing more, folding it together, or pushing through, right? There may be irritability or emotional numbness that can creep in. And many parents enter a kind of functional freeze, okay, where they're continuing to show up and do what's needed, but there's a significant internal cost. It takes a lot of energy to operate from that mode. And by the end of the day, this often registers as a deep, hard to explain exhaustion that isn't relieved by rest alone. Okay. This isn't what I want you to understand is this isn't about wanting to escape your child, although your nervous system might feel that way, right? It's about your nervous system needing to know that it still has options, agency, and support, even when circumstances are genuinely limiting. Okay. So it's really important to notice like how much in the day do you feel like, oh, I have no choice but to do this with my child. Oh, I have no choice but to give in to them. I have no choice but to accommodate them. Every time you feel that way, it is a cue of danger, mounting more stress load in your body. Okay. Number 3, your own needs get pushed aside. Sorry, number 4. That's number 4, not number 3. Number 4 is your own needs get pushed aside. Okay. This is so common. When your child needs you throughout the day, it becomes easy and almost automatic to override your body's signals. We all do this, right? So we may ignore hunger, delay going to the bathroom, push past and override any tiredness or fatigue, stay in our head to keep functioning rather than dropping into the body to relax. And in the moment, this can feel necessary, right? But over time, though, it creates a quiet depletion that builds beneath the surface. Okay. Because these needs are small and constant, and the cost often isn't obvious right away. Okay. But hour by hour, the nervous system learns that your signals don't matter as much as everyone else's. Okay. And that ongoing self override contributes significantly to the exhaustion you feel by the end of the day. And it often triggers a lot of our old childhood wounds of that my needs don't matter, my true authentic needs, me expressing who I am doesn't matter. Like if you think about how much we override our own needs to meet our child's needs, and it can really trigger those wounds. Okay. So it's about noticing that. Can you notice that, how your own needs get pushed aside and how then you even go into patterns of, and a lot of us have learned this from the corporate world too, like, to ignore hunger, delay going to the bathroom, push back fatigue, right? It's in our culture. Okay. And then it gets exacerbated with our kids even more. Okay, so number 5, your nervous system shifts into what's called functional freeze state to keep you going. Okay, so when the demands don't let up, okay, and your needs and choices keep getting pushed aside, many parents' nervous systems adapt by shifting into functional freeze. Okay, so functional freeze can often look like calm on the outside. So I call it pretend calm, right? So it can look like calm on the outside, but it isn't true calm. Okay. It's it's more like activations happening inside. So you're having a reaction inside, a stress reaction, but it's being clamped down on by the dorsal vagal response. So it's kind of freezing and numbing you feeling that activation, right? And then you're recruiting ventral vagal behaviors, what's called social engagement behaviors, to show like you're calm and okay on the outside. But this is not true calm because beneath the surface, your nervous system is still highly activated. And that energy is being held in so that you can keep functioning and stay composed and meet everyone else's needs. Okay, this is a pattern that doesn't start with our kids. I want to name that. It starts very young. It can show up as fawning or what's called appeasing or people pleasing. Okay, and or just how we have hold it together in public or in general, like in front of others, we say, yeah, I'm okay, but inside we're not feeling okay. And it actually takes a tremendous amount of energy to clamp down on all of that, to not feel it. So in this state, stress doesn't move through the body, it gets trapped and builds load. Okay, and then how does it show up? You may notice your jaw clenching. Okay, you may notice tightness in the shoulders or the chest or the neck, right? You may notice it in your breathing. You can't breathe into your belly. You have more shallow breathing in your chest, or you're holding your breath, okay? Or that familiar feeling of being wired and exhausted at the same time. Okay, tired but wired. It's a common one. So, functional freeze is not a failure or a coping flaw. It's a very automatic survival strategy that allows you to keep showing up because you have to keep functioning, right? When you don't have like rest or relief or support available. Okay. So, but the cost is that your nervous system is working overtime to hold everything together, which contributes to the deep exhaustion that many parents feel at the end of the day. Okay. So, number six reason of why you feel exhausted, okay, by the end of the day is that this negativity bias creeps in. Okay. So when the nervous system is under strain, the brain naturally shifts into problem scanning mode. Okay. This is known as negativity bias, and it's a survival response, and it's not a personality flaw. We are all built with negativity bias in our brain, right? And left unchecked, it's off to the races. So, around a child who activates frequently, your brain may stay focused on what could go wrong, okay? Or what needs managing next, right? Or what isn't working. Okay. In this state, it becomes much harder to notice moments of ease or moments of just neutrality or moments of connection, even when they are present. Okay. So, this doesn't mean that you're a negative and ungrateful person. Okay. It means that your nervous system is prioritizing safety and predictability, right? And your perception narrows as a result. Okay. So, what I mean is your nervous system is prioritizing safety by always keeping an outlook for danger, right? Always keeping a lookout for danger, scanning for the negative, right? Think about how many times we have to do that to watch, like we have to watch our kids looking for the signs so that we can intervene and help them to come back down before it goes into a full blown, meltdown, right? So our brain gets used to scanning for threat all the time and gets stuck there. That's the problem with that. It can get stuck there, and this can lead to like just seeing everything as negative, everything. Okay. Okay. So, number seven is that we have expectations. Okay. And we are attached to those expectations, and that adds another layer of stress. Okay. So, on top of all of what I just mentioned, 1 to 6, then number seven is that expectations often add a quieter but significant layer of pressure on ourselves. So holding on to how the day should go or what you hoped for, what you planned, like this is especially true over the holidays, or even those of us who are like beginning to homeschool. We have these ideas of how the days will go. And then there's just does not turn out that way, right? And it's like a real process of letting go of control. And it's not easy, right? So when you have these expectations of how things should go, how you have them planned in your head, or how they're supposed to look, it creates this internal friction, okay, and chronic stress when reality doesn't match that. And that ongoing mismatch, it asks your nervous system to hold disappointment, frustration, and self judgment that comes in alongside everything else it's already managing. Okay. So it's really important to look at expectations, right? Because when they remain rigid, the system stays in a state of resistance to what is. And right. But when you can soften your expectations, then the nervous system often then softens and relaxes too. Okay. So when you understand that your nervous system, what it's carrying all day, okay, these 7 things I just mentioned, the question naturally becomes now, okay, so how do I support myself with this reality rather than keep pushing through my days like I've been doing? Okay, so yes, now let's get into how to change this. How do you support yourself so that the day feels more fulfilled and less depleting? And this isn't about like fixing the day or making things really easy, right? It's about working with your nervous system instead of overriding it. Okay, so number one is the practice of letting go of expectations and allowing what is. Okay, this is a huge practice and not an easy one. And it's an ongoing one for us parents of PDA and high needs kids. Okay, letting go of expectations. I want to mention this up front. It's not giving up. It's not like, oh, forget it. Like I give up, right? Because that's where a lot of us go. It's more about regulating. It's really about regulating. So when you soften your attachment, let go of your attachment to how things should look, okay, how the day should look, and just meet what is here. Okay, your nervous system receives the message, oh, I don't have to fight this reality. I don't have to fight this reality. I don't have to resist it. Okay, I can allow what is, I can be with what is, I can let go of expectations, right? But still hold on to hope that things can change, even if right now it doesn't look that way. And that alone can reduce internal resistance. It can lower stress hormones. It can create more flexibility and presence. Okay, so number two, keep choice online. This is so important if you don't want to drop into the dorsal vagal shutdown state where all trauma is encoded. Okay, choice is the way to keep yourself feeling like you're still in your power. Okay, and part of this choice includes supporting yourself with compassion too. Okay, so when you can't physically leave your child or take a full break, then the goal becomes keeping choice online in your nervous system. Choice helps the nervous system feel safe because you feel you have some agency and control. And choice doesn't have to be big in order to matter. Okay, it can look like small little choices, like something like, okay, I'm going to sit instead of stand, or I'm going to stand instead of sit, or choosing to close your eyes for 30 seconds, even though your child doesn't like it, choosing when and how you respond, or choosing a regulating movement to do. Okay, so I always teach these regulation tools as a way of bringing in choice of doing something with the activating energy that's happening inside and keeping choice online instead of clamping down and holding it in and then going to complete exhaustion by the end of the day, or sometimes even before the end of the day. Okay. And sometimes the most powerful choice is choosing self compassion. Okay. Because oftentimes, like when you're with your child all day, it can feel like a series of no choice and no way to support yourself. But self compassion is a way to bring in that. That feeling of I can choose to support myself. So, offering yourself kindness rather than judgment creates this felt sense of support in the body. And this might sound like, okay, this is really hard and I'm doing the best I can. You can bring a hand to your heart and just bring love to yourself. And you could say, of course, I'm tired. This is a lot. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not alone. Many parents feel this way too. Okay. So when self compassion is present, the nervous system no longer feels alone inside the stress. And that felt sense of being supported by supporting yourself can shift the body out of freeze and reduce the depletion that comes from feeling trapped. Okay. Sometimes it can also help to name the choice directly, like, okay, I am choosing to be here right now with my child, and I'm choosing to support myself while I'm here right now. Okay. So choice is really important. Okay. So number three way to support yourself is notice when you're mounting stress load and help to release it. Okay. So when your child activates, can you notice what happens in your body? Do you brace? Do you tighten your jaw? Do you hold your breath? Or your muscles getting all tight? Notice your signs of stress load building in your body. And then can you interrupt that pattern by doing some sort of movement to help release it so that you don't go into this sort of functional freeze response, right? What I like to do is I like to shake, do a body shake every once in a while. Rolling, rolling my shoulders or rolling my joints, rolling my ankles and my wrists. That helps to like release some of the pent up energy. Stretching can help do that. Okay. Sitting or lying down for a few minutes to let your body feel safe again. Like for me, feeling the felt sense of support all along my back. So I lie down on my body beanbag, and that helps me so much to just release stress load, okay? Because it gives me that felt sense of support. So when you can come into the body and help it feel safe, the stress load naturally gets released instead of you continuing to carry it throughout the day, mounting more and more load. Okay, now number 4, this is so important. After meltdowns, let your body fully come back down. Okay, I can't tell you how many parents will just after a meltdown will just start scrolling their phone, what's called doom scrolling or revenge scrolling, distract yourself, jump straight into tasks that you have to get done, right? But then that signifies to your nervous system that you're still in a state of threat. And after a meltdown, you want your nervous system you want to signal to your nervous system that the threat has completed and you can come fully back into a rest and relaxation state. So then that helps you to naturally release the stress load from that activation you just had with your child. So giving yourself 5 minutes, if you can, if not, even just 2, to like breathe more deeply into the belly, do a longer exhale, feel your feet on the floor, neurocept safety by looking around and noticing things are safe now, right? The danger has passed. It's safe to rest now. Okay. And when you do that, stress naturally discharges and it helps you to regenerate for the next challenge. Okay, number 5 is practice dual awareness while co-regulating. Okay, so when you're co-regulating, many parents lose themselves entirely in their child. I can't tell you how much this has happened to me. Okay, where like I'm gone, there's no me anymore. It's just all about my child. So, dual awareness means holding awareness of your child's nervous system and your own nervous system at the same time. And what this does is that it allows you to then meet your needs in small but meaningful ways. Okay, like noticing I'm thirsty, so I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, or eating when you're hungry, or going to the bathroom when you notice the urge, or resting your eyes for a minute when you notice that, or when your child is on a device. Can you give yourself 5 minutes of rest before you go get doing some other tasks? Okay, so even tiny moments of self support done with consciousness on board and awareness on board, right, can prevent resentment and burnout. Okay. So, to help yourself rest, can you ask yourself, can I take just 2 minutes to drop into my body instead of staying in my head? And can I feel my body? So this is what I teach, using practices of grounding, like feeling your feet on the floor or your seat in the chair, orienting by looking around the room slowly and noticing and naming 5 to 10 things that you see, or taking in one thing that brings you a felt sense of comfort and feeling that in your body. So anything that sort of gives you a felt sense of comfort or support, like wrapping yourself in a blanket or giving yourself a mini self hug to create the felt sense of being held and supported, even in the middle of a busy day. Okay, it doesn't take a lot. It's these small little cues of safety that help to release stress load, help you to neurocept safety, and regenerate more energy to keep going. Okay, number 6, let moments of connection nourish you. Okay, this is so important because when you're stressed and your brain is in negativity bias, right, it's easy to miss moments of genuine connection. And it's important to take those moments in and let them land for at least 30 seconds as they can really nourish your nervous system so much. Okay, so when you notice and really take in moments of shared connection with your child, like laughter or closeness, your body releases oxytocin and dopamine, and these chemicals, like they help reduce stress and restore motivation and meaning. So let yourself feel these moments and let yourself linger in them because they do matter. Okay, and number seven way of supporting yourself is intentionally noticing glimmers. Okay, so glimmers are the small, positive, comforting, or nourishing moments that help your nervous system feel safe, supported, and at ease. Okay, they're often subtle, but they matter deeply. Okay, when you're under chronic stress, however, these moments are so easy to miss, right? Because stress causes the brain's negativity bias to take over. And negativity bias, remember, it's not a flaw, it's a survival response. It needs to be there for our survival. But when it runs unchecked, it can narrow your focus so that all you can see are the challenges and difficulties in your day. Okay. So you can gently counter this negativity bias by intentionally noticing glimmers throughout your day. And this might be like noticing sunlight through the window. You know, for me, I love noticing things in nature. I'll notice a tree outside or a little squirrel going by or the feeling of a warm blanket, you know, texture of something, if that helps you feel comforted, or the noticing glimmers in your child too, right? Like the softness of your child's hand, or a small sign of ease in your child, or when they're having fun doing something. Let yourself take it in, okay? Let your body register that as a little moment of a glimmer and let that nourish you, right? Because like doing this kind of practice helps your nervous system experience safety alongside challenge. And that's where we want to get to, right? Because we're going to have challenge a lot with our kids, but can we experience safety too? It reminds your system that even though parts of the day are hard, there's also goodness and comfort and support present too. Like all of it can be here. So over time, this helps your nervous system stay more flexible and better able to meet the challenges of the day with greater ease. Okay. So, look, spending the day supporting a PDA or high needs child, or multiple children, right? Often in ways, um, sorry, what I'm trying to say here is when you're with your child or children all day, is that it can ask a lot of you, right? It can ask a lot of you, as you've seen here, and often in ways that are not immediately visible. Okay. And much of that effort that we put into our days mounts a lot of quiet stress load in the body. So, this is what I'm helping you become aware of, right? The quiet stress load that mounts in your body, and becoming aware of what's happening inside of you and learning small, realistic ways to support yourself within these demanding circumstances can change how the day is experienced. Okay, so you're not changing your child or the reality you're in necessarily, but you're changing how you meet yourself inside that reality. Okay, restoring a sense of control and agency and a sense of safety and goodness where it's been missing. Okay, so the goal isn't a perfect day or an easy one. Okay, it's really the difference between ending the day feeling exhausted, depleted, and resentful, or ending it feeling more fulfilled or more resourced or more connected to yourself or your child, even after a hard day. So I invite you to give these practices a try. And then if this resonated with you, please do comment, please do share, as other parents may need to hear this too. And I hope your days with your child get easier.